The lesson plan that I'm going to be talking about today is called the Tell All website. The Tell All website is for a 7th grade advanced class. In that classroom, we have spent several months talking about literature elements. The students the past 9 weeks have read a survival book. They're called survival books because the theme was majority about survival, whether it be in dystopian society or in a historical time period. The Tell All website will be made on a Weebly. It will include other technologies, including watching a YouTube video of how to make podcasts, putting a podcast on that Weebly website, and then putting the Weebly on Edmodo for their presentation and collaboration part of the project. First, we have to know the standards that the assignment will be assessing. They are the state standards. They'll be citing several pieces of textual evidence throughout their assignment, determining a theme or central idea. They'll be comparing and contrasting a story to another piece of literature, which they will do on their podcast. And by the end of the year, they will read and comprehend literature in their grade level, which is, again, 7th grade. The technology standards will include the creativity innovation standards, communication and collaboration, and critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making. Before the students get the handouts and the rubric, they will be talking about and discussing with me the guiding and essential questions. These questions will be answered through that Weebly website that they will be creating through their textual evidence. What is the theme of your novel? How does the setting of your novel affect the plot and the characters? How does this book compare and contrast to another read? What makes your novel better than the one you have read in the past? What have you taken from this novel personally? How do the characters in the book differ from each other? What are the symbols in the book and what do they mean? How does the word survival mean to your novel? And how does the plot change the characters through the course of the novel? The overview of the lesson is that the assignment is based on an assessment right before the CRCTs. The assignment is to assess the reading standards of character, theme, comparing and contrasting text, symbolism in literature, and discussing, setting, and analyzing a story's plot. The students have been working on all of these standards for many months. Now it's time for the big assessment right before the big test. Students will be creating a tell-all website, meaning they'll be telling me everything they need to know about that book and sharing everything they've learned and to share with their peers. Students selected a novel from a list of 3 that all, again, had that same theme of survival and choice. The website will include tabs on characters, settings, themes, plots, symbolism, and a metaphorical expression. That's the higher level gifted strategy that we're to use this 9 weeks. And the last tab will have a podcast that compares and contrasts the elements of the book to another book. The final part of this assignment is to put the website on Edmodo and respond to 3 other peers. This allows for collaboration and feedback. The 3 books that the students were able to select were Touching Spirit Bear, Survival in Nature, The Book Thief, Survival in a Historical Time Period, and Divergent, Survival in a Utopian Society. The assessment. The students will produce a website that provides answers to the essential questions with tabs that have summaries of what they have learned and a podcast that is added to their website that compares and contrasts the book to another. They'll be graded by a rubric. The rubric, which might be hard for you to see depending on your size of your screen, includes categories of the elements, aka the standards, the podcast, the conventions, the collaboration, and the Weebly itself. Adds up to be 60 points. And our categories are always meets, does not meet, and exceeds at Simpson Middle School. The resources are, we have a rubric, the Weebly projects, the sites Weebly, Podomatic, and YouTube. YouTube is just to show kids just one more time how to use Podomatic and what elements of a podcast are needed to make it better. Student novels, of course, the class Edmodo page, previous skills. In order from classroom management, students will be working as individuals until editing occurs. Peer editing will allow students to proofread others' work before publishing. Students will be reminded of other technology safety procedures. I will book the 7th grade ELA computer lab for 5 days to allow enough class time to finish it. Technology issues that might arrive could be the computer lab being booked, or a computer not running properly, podcast accounts not working, maybe they're not, the free version has an issue. Prior to the lesson, I will need to make sure that everything is in check, work with the media specialist and my co-teacher, and if time does not allow them to complete the whole thing in class, 99% of my students have internet at home, and we also have computer labs open before and after school. My role as a teacher is to create all material in advance for the lesson and talk to teachers to tweak IEPs and gifted students, since we do have dual serve gifted students on my pod. Teachers model the lesson by discussing examples from other lessons. I am to be the leader during the rubric and instruction Q&A. Before I give out the material, we always do a Q&A with the instructions and the rubric to make sure everyone is on the same page, and we highlight keywords on the rubric and instructions. The teacher becomes the facilitator and support, and the teacher is the timekeeper, the support, and the challenger in the lab to help students' needs. The students' roles are to answer the questions of what is character, what is setting, and so forth, to bookmark and highlight any textual evidence that they have to use to support their ideas. Students are to set goals for themselves or to create a website. And once that website is created, they have to put it on Edmodo and have it posted on the deadline, and use professionalism, logic, and higher level thinking when commenting on their peers' projects. What are the high-level thinking strategies? Higher-level thinking strategies are they will have to analyze the text to support it, the claims and answers. They will create their own website and the podcast, and they will evaluate other peers' work in a professional manner. The technology is supported, allows the lesson to be engaging. The podcast allows even the shyest student to speak their opinions and having an audience watching them as they create it. And the layouts of a Weebly lends themselves to the theme of the novel, allowing a visual art that acts as a background for the novel and presentation. AKA the background should be another way of using symbolism. The differentiation is by choice, interest, and readiness level. The students we have with IEPs will refer to their IEPs for anything such as assistive technology, and gifted students. We have a DHH student who has his hearing impaired tools, and our gifted students, we want to make sure that everything is up to par with their needs as well. In conclusion, to sum up, the students will be using a multiple of technologies that is embedded into a hands-on lesson that will benefit them as apply and implement the literature standards one last time before going to 8th grade.